Hi guys, welcome back to The Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about two books. It was definitely a cozy mystery week. I read a historical cozy mystery and a sci-fi future cozy mystery. I had trouble like which star I was going to give these, because for both of them I had so much fun reading them. Had so much fun, right? But the mystery, like I judge mysteries on how much fun I had, characters obviously, but also the mystery itself. Like if there was, after the real, if there was clues leading up to it and not just kind of in the last third act given to us, which both of those we were given like the last minute clues to figure it out at the last minute. So I don't particularly like those, but I had so much fun reading them. So I was like, oh, okay, mystery wise it's like a 2, but experience wise it's like a 4. So I'm just gonna split the difference, and both of them are 3 stars. That was like the longest intro. Okay, so the first one, I think I'm gonna do the historical mystery, Picture of Murder, a Lady Hardcastle Mystery, Book 4 by T.E. Kensey. Now, it was published 2018 and it's 321 pages. This is a historical cozy mystery and it's 3 stars. So let's do the synopsis. Late October 1909, and the season of ghouls and things that go bump in the night has descended upon the village of Liddington Cotterell. Lady Hardcastle and her trusted lady maid Florence find themselves hosting a colorful cast of actors whose spooky movie picture, The Witch's Downfall, is shown to mark Halloween. But things make a macabre turn when the first night's screening ends with a mysterious murder, and the second night with another. One by one, the actors turn up dead in ways that eerie echo their film. With the police left scratching their heads, Lady Hardcastle calls upon amateur sleuthing skills to launch an investigation with Flo's able assistance. Surrounded by suspects, both human and supernatural, Lady Hardcastle must use a little trickery of her own to unmask the murderer. So it was fun. I had a blast reading it, right? I had a good time. It's just that the mystery, the needed clues happened like, to figure it out, happened like thirds. Actually, with this one, I don't think you really get any clues of what's going on until like the middle of the third act. So out of all the Hardcastle books I read so far, I think I like this one the most, but I think the mystery is like the weakest, if that makes sense. I know usually, you know, that goes hand in hand, but I had such a fun time. And Flo and Lady Hardcastle's banter, I love it. I love their friendship, even though Lady Hardcastle is her boss. They definitely feel more friends than anything else. And in this book, you get some backstory of Lady Hardcastle and Flo's adventures before the book series started. So before the book series started, they always have these conversations about what happened in Shanghai with Lady Hardcastle and Flo, how her husband was murdered, and how they had to flee to mainland China when the Boxer Rebellion happened. And that's how Flo learned martial arts. She learned it from a monk. And from there, they made it to India. From India, they made it back to England, right? So there's always this vague kind of description, banter, that you kind of assume Hardcastle was like some sort of spy, but you're not really sure, right? And you don't know why her husband was murdered. You don't know like any of the circumstances, you know. And in this book, we get the backstory. We get it. And it's great. And like Flo is such a fun character. She grew up in the circus, but she's a lady maid now. A lady's maid, I should say, which is actually pretty high position in the servant hierarchy, right? And she's pretty young to be that. So we kind of get her, a little bit of her life before she met Hardcastle and how she met Hardcastle. And then we get Hardcastle's her husband's murder, why they went to mainland China when the Boxer Rebellion was happening instead of getting out. like what happened in Shanghai, and then, you know, we don't really get what happens in India, but we get that they went to India and then England. There's also like a shadow of her past that is kind of poking, like tapping the glass, and Lady Hardcastle is like so confused because she's like, nah, he's dead. And they're like, how can you be sure? She's like, I shot him in the face. So I was like, huh. So that is interesting, and I feel like it's laying groundwork for future books where like her past kind of comes back to bite her, and I'm really into that. I can't wait. And I did love that we finally get answers to why her husband was murdered, what Hardcastle, you know, what her position really was, what she was doing in Shanghai, and how Flo and her became so close, you know? I really, really love that. Going, you know, and in this book you kind of get a little history lesson on like movies and stuff like that, because it's 1909, right? The beginning of motion pictures and stuff like that. And maybe because I was born, maybe because I was like, I'm a Jersey girl from New Jersey, you know? So when they mentioned Fort Lee, New Jersey, I was like, hell yeah, that's true. You know, so, because Edison had a patent on a machine that did motion pictures, and he was stationed in Fort Lee, New Jersey. So for a time, Fort Lee, New Jersey was like the center of the movie industry until like obviously, you know, other machines were invented and it moved to California. But I was like, hell yeah, New Jersey. It's always so rare when New Jersey's mentioned in a book and not like shitted on. So I was like, hey, look at that. But you know, I just loved this book because we get the backstory, because the banter's there, and I love their friendship, you know. And I love when Flo gets to kick butt, you know, and she gets to kick butt in this book. Tiny little Welsh woman, and she just kicks it butt, and I love it. But like I said, the mystery part of it, there's not really clues for you to like kind of solve it along with Hardcastle and Flo. And the clues, one major clue shows up in the beginning of Act 3, but still kind of, you know, wishy-washy. And then the clues pop up like literally end of third act. And I was like, well, that's kind of disappointing, you know? So this book was so weird for me because I think I enjoyed this the most. And I like the Hardcastle books, but I think this one I had the most fun reading, but it's the one that I'm most disappointed with the mystery. I know, it's such a duality. But yeah, this one was so great. And if you're so curious about her backstory, this is the one you should read because you get it. I love their banter. Some friends from other books pop up. I love that a mystery villain from her past is like peeking their little head in every once in a while. So that was a lot of fun. The mystery, now I will say, like the mystery overall was, I was like, whoa, this is a wild ride. Like at the end of it, I was like, wow, that's a crazy wild ride. I'm just a little disappointed. You know how I like that with mystery books, there's clues for you to solve along with. So neither of these books had that. So I'm a little disappointed with that. But the mystery was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. It's like this. It's exactly my thoughts when I finished. I was like, wow, that was kind of crazy. So that was for that. It's so hard talking about, well, I never want to spoil books, period, but I feel like mystery books especially, but I want to give you guys like kind of the vibe of it. I don't know if I did a good job. Probably not. Anyway, the second one is the sci-fi cozy mystery, and when I saw this, I was like, what? That's so interesting. Let me give this a try. This also was 3 stars. Same reason. I had a blast reading it, but the mystery was like, the clue was like literally at the end. And the ending kind of felt a little anticlimactic, and I'm not sure if that's because it's going to fold over to the second book or not, because there was an excerpt of the second book in this one, but I don't particularly read those because I kind of want to go into the second book like, I don't want sneak peeks, you know. That's not, I don't enjoy it. Does it get me in trouble? Like with Dungeon Crawler Crawl, I didn't read the behind the scenes of the Pineapple Parade because I thought they were sneak peeks. Yeah, but you know, that's easily solved. Anyway, so this is Alibis in Alpha Sector, Lady Elizabeth Cozy Space, book 1, by Diana Xarissa. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name. I don't know if it's Xarissa, if it's Xarissa, or what it is. So forgive me, I don't know. I'm sorry. It was published 2022, and technically it's 212 pages, but you know, the excerpt, you know. So for this book, it's only 190 pages, okay? When I lost my low-paying dead-end job, a friend offered me a one-way ticket to Valsega. I didn't want to take advantage of his generosity, but we both knew that ticket was probably the only way I would get off Sinclair. He surprised me with a ticket on Lady Elizabeth, an Inman Corp's newest luxury spacecraft. Even the cheapest, smallest cabins were supposed to be loaded with luxuries. When my elevator made an unscheduled stop at unfinished tech, before I could even make it to my cabin, things got complicated fast. After finding a dying man in what was meant to be an empty corridor, I find myself being bribed with a long list of upgrades clearly designed to get me to keep quiet about what I've seen. The bribes might have worked too if it wasn't for the man I'd been sharing the elevator with when we made our unscheduled stop. Colonel Jonathan Breezy is determined to conduct his own investigation into what he's convinced was a murder. And he seems equally intent on dragging me along for the ride. All I know is that I'll be a lot happier if I didn't have to spend the next 26 sectors traveling with a killer. I've never read a cozy mystery in space. I don't know if there's a lot out there. The author's note in the beginning, and I read it, and it was cute. It was cute. So the author was at a convention, and one of the fellow goers was like, oh, why isn't there any cozy mysteries in space? And she's like, oh, I'll do it. And he's like, okay, but you got to put my name in it. So, and then other authors kind of heard that. So a lot of the characters are named after the people she went to the convention with, like fellow authors, I believe. So that was really cute. I had so much fun. But again, the mystery, the same problem with the mystery. That's why it's a 3 for me, because I had so much fun, but there wasn't clues until the 3rd act. And then the conclusion was a little anticlimactic, but it seems to imply that there's more going on that we're going to discover as the series unfolds. I really liked it. I was a little worried going into it that the space, sci-fi spaceship, spacecraft thing was just going to be like a setting that's completely like not really dove into and just sort of like set dressing in the beginning and that's it. Not even a little. I really commend this author because this future seemed so much fun. And not like, oh great, it's not dystopian. No problems. There's a lot of problems. But you get the sense of where the world is at and what has happened. Not really what happened, but like how people live their lives very easily. And I didn't feel monologued, right? So it's 7022 when this book starts. And she is going across 26 sectors. And each sector is like 10 days, I believe. So they're basically, it's a year-long journey around about, right? And basically a cruise ship. A year-long cruise ship, but instead of being in the sea, you're in space, right? So I don't know if the author intended it, but I really felt claustrophobic. Because I kept thinking, because it's very much like trapped in the manor house kind of mystery. But those never make me feel claustrophobic because my dumbass brain is always like, oh, you know, if worst comes to worst, just jump out of first story window, you know, you get cuts, but whatever, you can get away, right? But you can't do that in space. Even on a cruise ship, I'm like, well, I'm a really good swimmer. Worst comes to worst. You can't do that in space. There was no talk of like emergency crafts like they have on cruise ships. And I was like, oh, so I felt a little claustrophobic. I don't think that's what the author meant. Maybe they did, I don't know, but I definitely felt a little claustrophobic because she is trapped. And this is a first person point of view, and she is trapped with a killer in a glitchy ass cruise ship in space. I was like, whoa. And there's so many different characters that you meet. And I mean, when I downloaded this story, I knew there was a lot in the series, like more than 2 books in the series from quick glance, right? So I figured those characters are going to be repeat, because like again, it's like trapped in the manor. It's not even like a cozy village, you know? It's, ooh, the claustrophobia was real. Anyway, and it was a lot of fun. The little bits about like the waiter bots malfunctioning, the little bits about how the cruise ship worked, well, space cruise ship worked, even the doctor, how her eyes change color every time she blinks. I'm assuming those are some kind of contacts or maybe fake eyes. I don't know. We haven't gotten to that book of explanation yet. Even the like people having pets, how expensive they are, and like how genetic breeding and things like that. It was so fun. This world, I am hooked. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Oh, that is so cool. Oh my God, they're trapped in like, oh, she can't escape. That is so cool. That was pretty much my reading experience while I was reading. I was like, oh, that is so cool. Ooh, trapped in space. Yikes. Ooh, that is so cool though. Is that what individuals that are afraid of the ocean, is that how they feel when they like encounter something that has to do with cruise ships? Is it? Probably, right? Ooh. So they're going up. So she's in the elevator and the stranger's with her. You know how cruise ships are, you know. If you've never been to a cruise ship, usually you leave your luggage. When you check in, they bring your luggage to your room. Sometimes you beat them to your room and maybe like you go have a cocktail or something, you know, on the deck, and you do the emergency protocol stuff, which they did not do in this. I guess there isn't any. I guess you're just Sherlock. And apparently they're space pirates. They don't show up in this book, but they're talked about. And I'm like, huh. I don't suppose we're gonna get a book on the space pirate point of view, right? Because that could be cool. Anyway, I just thought of, you know, my brain just started playing the Cowboy Bebop theme song. Anyway, so still bop, but so she's in an elevator with a stranger and everything is glitching on this boat, and the elevator glitches and it's the sea deck, which no one's supposed to go on, but the elevator won't go back up. They hear like a groan, so they go into it thinking someone must have gotten hurt and they could, you know, help, right? And they encounter a man who is dying, and by the time they get there, he's, you know, he says some things to Diana, and the main character is named Diana. Yes, the same as the author. It's all in her author note in the beginning. Read it. Anyway, because when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. And I went back to because I usually don't read author notes. So I went back to the author note and like read like why she decided to name her main character after herself. And then I was like, oh, that's a cute story. That's a cute little anecdote. And then I went back to the book. He says something to Diana before he dies, you know, last words. But she doesn't tell anybody about it. I'm like, girl, good instincts. Don't say anything. Who she's with is the colonel, retired, I think. I mean, I don't actually, retired, he says. I don't think he's retired. I think something else is going on. Like, I think he has a very specific assignment. I don't know what that assignment is, but something's going on. That's why I say this was such a fun book, because there seems to be so many threads that are like outwardly building like a more suspenseful just like story throughout, and I'm here for it, and I hope that's true. You know, I can't stand it when authors drop storylines. They're your storylines. If you didn't want to do it, don't put them in the first place. That's like when authors break their own rules for like their fantasy worlds or their magic. You did it. They're your rules. Like, you could go back and freaking fix it. if you don't like it. Like that, okay, why am I getting mad? I had fun this week. Anyway, so, you know, she gets like, he says something on his deathbed. She doesn't tell anybody about it. She gets upgraded to a suite with like really good food. Ashley's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling guilty, but this is really good food. And I'm like, mood, get it, I understand. She meets all these very interesting people that seem to have an antagonistic connection to the dead guy. No one liked him, you know? So there's so many possible murderers that she's trapped on a space cruise ship with. And there's like, you think, so again, like, because it's sci-fi, I was worried that the motive for the murder wouldn't really have anything to do with why he was murdered, like sci-fi why, you know? I didn't know if the sci-fi part would be connected. And I think it is. Like, again, I think the ending was anticlimactic, but I don't think it was completely truthful why the guy was murdered, because he was a breeder of genetically altering cats, and he was working on like really intelligent cats, and his last words kind of indicate that he was able to make domestic cats speak. If that's true or not, I'm not sure. Again, like, there's a bunch of books in this storyline. So when the killer is revealed and his motive is kind of suspect, I didn't really believe his motive, because there is a moment where the killer and someone who's really powerful on the ship share a look and a nod. And then he's like, oh, I did it because of this. And I was like, I don't believe you. So I'm hoping the murder is tied into the genetically altered cats, because then it will feel less like the cruise ship in space was just a set dressing and really part of the story, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even know if I was speaking English. I feel like it was, but I could have been speaking tongues. I don't know. So, end of the day, I had fun. I wish the mysteries themselves were a little more interactive or had a little bit more clues that we could follow along with. But I had fun. I am definitely going to continue on with the sci-fi cozy mystery because it was fun. And I liked the world this author created. And man, the claustrophobia got me. Yeah, because like, think about it. Like, you literally can't escape. So I had fun. I found a new series. Yeah, I had fun. I got great backstory, which I was really dying to know. So that was fun. Okay, I'm gonna go. I don't want too much time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.